CalTrain soft launches electrification, Amtrak Midwest receives a facelift, and this intermodal car can move on its own? Coming up now on This Month on the Railroad. Hello and welcome back to This Month on the Railroad, my monthly recap of North American railroad news. Let's begin. On August 1st, Brightline West, a private high-speed rail startup on the West Coast, was offered $1 billion in private activity bonds from the states of California and Nevada to help pay for project construction. If accepted, these state bonds will give Brightline West the funding it needs to build now, and it won't need to be paid off until 2050. Once again, the new line is currently in the early stages of construction and is expected to be completed in time for the 2028 LA Olympics. The next day, the first SD75 ACC locomotive entered service for Canadian National. Rebuilt by Progress Rail from an SD75i, this mainline freight diesel now features alternating current traction, PTC, and DPU capabilities. A total of 50 locomotives are expected to be delivered over the next few years. On the same day, the South Coast Air Quality Management District, the agency involved in regulating the greater Los Angeles area's air quality, announced a new law involving diesel emissions in rail yards. This regulation aims to decrease locomotive nitrous oxide emissions in rail yards by around 80% by 2037 through the use of zero-emissions locomotives. This law is designed to work in conjunction with the recent CARB in-use locomotive regulation, which restricts locomotives with combustion engines in a similar timeline. Technically, this law went into effect at the beginning of 2024, but it can't actually be enforced by the California Air Resource Board until it's approved by the Environmental Protection Agency. On August 11th, Bay Area commuter rail CalTrain soft-launched its new electric service, replacing 2 diesel trains with all-electric ones. Every week after this, the agency would continue to add electric trains to the schedule, and on September 21st, diesels will officially be phased out between San Francisco and San Jose, making CalTrain the most modern commuter rail in the country. On a related note, around the same time, CalTrain offered F40 locomotives for sale on their online store, so if you're in the market for a 40-year-old used locomotive or a sweet ugly sweater, go to CalTrain's website. Speaking of commuter rail upgrades, the next day, Orlando's SunRail opened its DeLand expansion, extending its line 13 miles north from DeBary to the Amtrak station in DeLand, Florida. Up north, the Massachusetts Department of Transportation released a study testing the feasibility of passenger train service in the northern part of the state. The so-called Northern Tier Passenger Rail Study could eventually pave the way for passenger trains between Boston and North Adams. On the 14th, Amtrak Midwest Charger locomotive number 4626 was spotted with a new look. After its nose was damaged sometime in 2023, it was sent to Professional Locomotive Services in East Chicago, Indiana to be repaired. Instead of repairing the nose to its original design, this SC-44 was retrofitted with the new bolt-on nose cone introduced on the ALC-42. In addition to being more aerodynamic, and better looking might I add, the nose cone design means that should 4626 be damaged again, it'll be easier, faster, and cheaper to repair. Many rail fans speculate that all SC-44 locomotives on Amtrak may eventually receive this facelift, but likely only when their original noses are damaged. On the same day, Genesee and Wyoming released its second veterans locomotive, with Providence and Worcester C40-8 number 4069 receiving a camo paint scheme. Later in the month, New England Central GP40 WH-2 number 3015 received a similar treatment. Staying in New England, on the 14th, the MBTA expanded its order for bilevel railcars built by Hyundai Rotem with an additional 41 cars to be delivered in 2026 and 2027. This continues the MBTA's efforts to replace single-level cars with modern bilevels. On the 22nd, railroad startup Intramotev showed off its self-propelled railcar platform on an intermodal rail car. They say that this new technology can be retrofitted onto most types of freight cars, new or old. I'm honestly not too sure what real applications this has, but who knows, maybe it could be useful in yards. 3 days later, after almost 40 years of service, Norfolk Southern ran the last roadrailer train. At one point, roadrailers were considered the future of rail freight thanks to their innovative multimodal design. Unfortunately, over the years, roadrailers disappeared, and the last train ran with Norfolk Southern's Triple Crown roadrailers was on August 25th. Though the roadrailer cars are now retired, the Triple Crown moniker is expected to stay, albeit as standard trailers and containers on flat cars. The next day, CSX released a heritage unit honoring the Seaboard Air Line. ES-44AC number 1900 was painted in one of the most vibrant heritage paint schemes on CSX to date, and it joins the fleet of now 18 locomotives. The question now is, how many more heritage units are on the way? CSX seems to be on a roll with these engines, and will most likely surpass Norfolk Southern as the biggest railroad heritage unit program. The next day, the state of Virginia worked out a deal to purchase the Manassas line from Norfolk Southern, allowing for Virginia Railway Express to be increased, and additionally for Amtrak Northeast Regional trains to be extended from Roanoke to Christiansburg. Finally, on the 30th, the MBTA's new heritage unit, GP40MC-3 number 1129, made its debut, pulling the last Cape Flyer trains of the season. As I said last month, 1129 celebrates the cranberry red paint scheme from when the Boston and Maine ran the commuter rail. Many expect that more heritage units could be coming in the future, but as of now, no official announcement has been made. And that's a wrap on August of 2024, a great end to an outstanding summer of railroad news. Now that the summer's over though, I'm returning to college, and that means this series is changing back from This Month on the Railroad to Railroad Quarterly. Obviously, now that I'm back at school, I can't focus as much on making YouTube videos, but that doesn't mean I'm going away. I have multiple major videos in the works, the first of which should be making its debut in a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in 3 months for the return of Railroad Quarterly.